what's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be checking out the new Hasbro Avengers Infinity War. This is Titan Hero Power Effects Thanos. Before we have a look at this Titan Hero's power effects, let's first figure out how tall Thanos is. And he is roughly he's about almost 12 inches in height. Yeah, it's not so much advertised necessarily with the power effects figures that already had the backpacks, but the ones that don't have the included backpacks on the back here are actually advertised that you can use any number of the various different power effects backpacks here. You can just add them to the back of any one of these figures and you automatically trigger the audio. And it's not necessarily the audio from the movie. It sounds like they've brought an actor in to give the sound effects or the voice clips for that particular character. But it's really neat though, because the figures that are including these are a little bit more. But then if you just want to get specifically the figures, these are much more affordable means. I think these guys are only about $15, I want to say $16. I got them on Toys R Us. So if you already have a whole bunch of these, that's beautiful. You can just plug it into the back and get the sound effects. This one happens to be, by the way, from Iron Man. And I'll show you that in a second. I know I've teased you by talking about the audio clips. Let's first have a look at the figure. I have to admit, this is a nice looking Thanos. Equally so, it's also very posable as well. I don't want to say very posable. I mean, it doesn't have articulation in the knees, nor does it have it in the elbows, but it does definitely have it in the arms. You can bring the arms outward, you can rotate them all the way around, legs back and forth, and you can split the legs out. Not to mention as well, you've got a ball joint, which is a little bit more trickier to get to here on Thanos because of the nature of his collar. Let's bring the camera up and we'll have a look at the figure itself. The face is actually really nice. I do think they did a good bang-up job on the face. Here you've got some additional scarring, actually on both sides of Thanos, which I don't think is actually on Thanos in the beginning, so perhaps he gets it along the way. I would have to go back, and of course, the movie finally coming out really actually very soon, be able to gauge a little bit more you know, the inner workings and certainly the outer workings of Thanos. But really a nice, really nice figure head sculpt. And one thing I think they did a really bang up job as well on is the Infinity Gauntlet. Not only is it adorned in the various different jewels, each one painted unique to one another, but I love the pattern work that they've also put into the actual gauntlet. Despite the fact that this is what you could consider really being a more kids toy, I think it's actually, I think it's pretty neat. It's got all the color one would expect from Thanos, both the darker brown and kind of this purple, kind of purpley navy color, and of course the gold colors adorning both the belt, the top area of his shoulder, and areas of his knees as well. There's the undersides of his feet, very hollow at the bottom here, but doesn't have any problems with the figure standing. There's some detailing on the back of the figure's legs and his torso. There's the connector point as well. I'm still not sure why they put so much effort to detail the little circuitry on the inside when really you're going to be covering it anyways. Big muscular arms. He's got the pattern work all the way around on his shoulders, which brings us back once again to his face. Just to, I suppose, give you some size comparison. It's probably not the greatest of size comparisons, but to give you some size comparison to how big Titan Hero series figures are versus, say, the basic class figures. Here he is next to little tiny Captain America from the basic series. Big towering difference. You probably wouldn't want to pit the two together. Thanos is already incredibly strong. I think match that by the fact that he is a lot now taller. A poor Cap I don't think would stand much of a chance at all. So we'll just move him out of the way. And actually, one other thing that we can do is, for comparison wise, we'll move Thanos over. We'll bring in some of the other power effects figures that we looked at. There is Iron Man and Spidey. Move him actually over. Thanos, Spidey. Not probably the best by scale comparison. By looking at this, you would gauge that Thanos is actually a little bit shorter than the other heroes, which we know is not necessarily the case. And all three figures have the same Power Effects connector points on the back, which will cycle through their own specific audio, both audio voice clips and audio sound effects. Let's go ahead and move these out of the way. Put these just to the side. Now, we've already looked at Iron Man's.
I am Iron Man.
Which, as you can see...
Iron Man locked and loaded.
Which, as you can see, cycles through its own audio specific to the character. However, when you take any of the other Titan Hero series figures and you plug this to the back, you'll hear first a startup.
Suffer my wrath.
Clearly, it's not Josh Brolin doing the voice of Thanos. They've kind of just got, once again, a voice actor. Spin it around again to cycle through the sound effects. Press the button here.
Your power is nothing compared to mine! The Infinity Stones are mine. Suffer my wrath. Your power is nothing compared to mine!
I have to admit that the audio that they ended up giving poor Thanos here is so generic. It's the equivalent of what every angry conqueror would say in a very low-grade video game or even action movie. But at the very least, you do get yourself some audio happening. And just in case you wanted to see what it looked like with Spider-Man's, take that off. And we'll reach off and grab Spider-Man's, which is over on the side here.
The Infinity Stones are mine.
As you can see, though, changing the backpacks doesn't vary the audio. The audio is exactly the same, but it's really neat, though, that the backpack removed has its own sound effects specific to, say, well, in this case, Spider-Man. The moment you plug it into any one of the other Titan Hero figures, instantly you've got yourself the sound effects specific to that character. So that's pretty cool.
Suffer my wrath.
The Titan Heroes series Power Effects Thanos is a really fun figure, big and bulky, exactly what kids would want to carry around the Conqueror in their hands. The Power Effects options also on the back, even though the character doesn't come with his own specific backpack. It's nice that you can mix and match the knapsacks or backpacks that came with the other characters to give you the sound effects for these specific characters. It also means, too, that it keeps the cost down on these ones versus the ones that came with the power-up backpack areas. I know I keep calling them backpacks. There's not really appropriate thing that we can call them. But the things that go into the backs, that are the packs, that give them the audio. It's nice that some of the figures don't necessarily have them or include with them. Keeps the cost down on these, that you can just bring over the ones that come with the other figures, and you instantly got the audio effects. Sure, granted, I don't think Thanos would be wearing something that Iron Man would be wearing, and it's definitely safe to say that he wouldn't be wearing Spider-Man's backpack, but still, at the very least, it's nice to mix and match it and still get the audio effects, though granted not Josh Brolin's voice, still we get the audio effects of what Thanos would sound like as a kid's toy. Today we were having a look and continuing our looks at the Hasbro Avengers Infinity War. This was the Titan Heroes series Power Effects Thanos. Pretty cool figure. If you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so. We're going to have a look at some more Avengers Infinity War goodies, so stay tuned to the channel for those. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.